Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, just when you thought it was safe to go back on the Kilt-Man channel, what do you get? Another Jaws video. Oh, how many Jaws videos can you keep putting out there? Well, it is Jaws' 50th birthday, isn't it? 50th anniversary this year. So the party continues. And if you've got something like this, or something similar, raise it now to Jaws. Happy birthday, Jaws. Cheers, Jaws. And cheers, y'all. Now, I've done a hell of a lot of videos on Jaws. For the guy that always bigs up the fact that his favourite film director is John Carpenter, I've done very little John Carpenter stuff over the years compared to Jaws. But Jaws is a bloody masterpiece. And as I've always said, it's the gift that keeps on giving. There's always something to discuss. There's new generations coming in who are learning to love Jaws. So we can go through all the famous old bits all over again. And this particular nugget, this slant we're going to discuss today, I have discussed before. Oh, what a letdown, eh, Kilty? Yeah, I have. But I've never devoted a video to it properly. I've discussed it in the commentary for Jaws and in the big review of Jaws and in fact loads of other bits and bobs of Jawsiness. But who's the guy on the back of Ben Gardner's boat? Now, I've said only fairly recently as well that although I genuinely love the whole Ben Gardner sequences, they're legendary. The real life Craig Kingsley, who was a Martha's Vineyard fisherman and resident, he plays, Ben Gardner. Spielberg was told, you've got to get this guy on board. Hey, on board, literally, because he's great. That guy Quint that you want, he's the real life Quint. So Robert Shaw gets to know Craig Kingsley, and all the mannerisms, the accents, the anecdotes, the improv, Robert Shaw picked it all up from Craig Kingsley. And Spielberg fell in love so much with Craig Kingsley, he said, let's put him in the movie. Because in the book, you've got the Ben Gardner character, the other rival top-class fisherman on Amity. So he plays Ben Gardner. Now, he's only in it, literally, a couple of scenes. Hooper meets him. He's the first Amity resident that Hooper meets when he arrives in Amity. Hello back, young fella. Hey, you're not going out with those nuts, are you? And because they've got that flotilla of all the redneck maniacs who want that $3,000 bounty on the shark. And they're chumming over the side, they've got dynamite, they've got dogs on board, they're all over the show. They haven't got a clue what a shark looks like. But what kind of shark? I think it's a macaw. Tiger. A what? Yeah. And of course, you've got this guy on the back of the boat. We know what happens, well, we don't know what happens to Ben Gardner. Hooper finds the tooth the size of a shot glass. It's actually bigger than the size of a shot glass, but hey ho, that's just specifics. And then the head lolls into view with an eye missing. I'm getting sick of people on the Jaws forums going like, the severed head comes out the hole in the boat. There's no severed head. His head is attached to the body. You can see the shoulders and the chest. You just can't see the rest. There might not be anything else there, but at least maybe it's been severed from the rest of the body, but the head and shoulders are still there. And it doesn't come out the hole, it doesn't float down to the seabed because they tow it back in. And as Brody says to Mayor Vaughan, I pulled a tooth the size of a shot glass out of the wreck of a boat out there. And Brody's like, it was Ben Gardner's boat. It's all banged up. You should have seen him. And then you've got the whole thing with Mayor Vaughan saying like, but Brody, did you see this tooth? No, I didn't see it. He dropped it. I had an accident, because of the shock. He dropped the tooth and all that. And I've always said, I've done this recently as well, I'm sure I have, getting massive waves of deja vu here, that Mayor Vaughan, he's pinning all, until I got proof that there's a shark out there, then there's no shark out there, okay? That's what he's saying, basically. You haven't got the tooth when there's no shark. You've got a bloody boat out there with a fucking great big hole in it, a big shark-sized mouth chunk out of the side of it, an erect body, a barnacled, horribly mangled body. What? Oh, but you haven't got the tooth. And anyway, next time you say shark, please can you use the word barracuda instead? Barracuda, people go like, what? You yell shark, you've got a panic on their hands and a 4th of July. And those beaches will be open. So it's narratively flawed. But anyway, so what happened to Ben Gardner? The shark didn't eat him. But we're going to discuss that because Mystery Man, the guy on the back of the boat, when Hooper arrives, Ben Gardner's there, you know, he hauls him up aboard onto the jetty. And you see this guy in Ben Gardner's boat. And then later, when you've got the flotilla, the armada of rednecks is going out, so's Ben Gardner. And this guy's on the back of the boat as well. He's got sort of, he's a big fella. He's a big guy. And he doesn't say a single word, but he's there. And you see him twice. And so you've got like Ben Gardner giving his speech about when we get them silly bastards out on the rock pile out there, there'll be some fun, I can tell you. They'll wish their fathers had never met their mothers, you know. You've got all this, and this guy's listening at the back there. And then, of course, you find, well, they get the tiger shark. Oh, what? And then you find Ben Gardner's boat and the remains of Ben Gardner. No mention of this guy, none at all. Ben Gardner talks to the camera, his little monologue. Doesn't, I mean, obviously he's talking to the guy behind him, but the guy's just standing there. It's almost like he's a ghost. Like maybe no one even realises he's actually there. You know what I mean? Very strange. Now, what happens to him then? Okay, well, there's two theories on this, really. And which of them do you think holds water? Hey, see what I did there? Ben Gardner goes out with the armada and he catches. He's not present at catching the tiger, but he's gone out alongside all these and probably does his own thing. And this guy's aboard. Maybe after all the chaos with these guys setting dynamite off in the air and in the ocean, and then they capture the shark, which he knows that's not the right shark. Because don't forget, Ben Gardner is legendary. Brody holds him in really, really high esteem. When they find that tiger shark, I'm doing that because it's hanging up like that in a big horseshoe shape. And he said, Ben Gardner, get this? Oh, no, we got this. So Brody thinks straight away of Ben Gardner, not of Quint. Crazy that, isn't it? And Quint's the big legendary, you know, he survived the Indianapolis. Cheers, y'all. So, Ben Gardner is a legendary one. Now, did he drop that guy off and then go back out at night? Because as Hooper says, he's a night feeder. We've got a good chance of spotting him or catching him from point to whatever. I forgot the names in two places. But so we're going to go out now. I can't do that. Yes, you can. So did Ben Gardner drop this guy off and then go out alone for a solo night fishing adventure, which backfired on him quite sadly? Well, we don't know. Or preferably, did this guy get killed by the shark? So you've got to imagine Ben Gardner's boat, which is called the Flicker. In the book, it's called the Flicker, and in the book, Ben Gardner dies differently. Brody's on shore watching Ben Gardner, who's not far off the shore, and Ben Gardner's chumming, and Brody's watching, and he takes his eyes off for a second, looks back, Ben Gardner's not there, doesn't think much of it for the time being, and then he hasn't come back up again. Where the hell is he? And then Hendricks goes out there, and Hendricks finds the tooth in the hole in the boat, but there's no sign of Ben Gardner at all. But Ben Gardner is chalked up to be another victim, right? The book's victims are slightly different, you know, from what you get in the movie. But Ben Gardner is in the book. But there's no guy on the, I don't think there's another guy on the boat. I can't remember that now. I don't think there is. So in the movie, they created an extra scene there. The whole thing with the head and coming through the hole in the boat, that was filmed after all principal photography had been done. Way afterwards, Spielberg watched it and thought, we need another shock. So they went to like a big Hollywood swimming pool and they filmed it. They duplicated the boat and took a mould of Craig Kingsley's head and did the scene that we get with the head and everyone leaps through the cinema roof. But the enduring mystery is this other guy. And it's compounded by the fact that we don't know who played him before you start going, well, I do. Nothing definitive on this. I'll tell you the two names in the running for this. You've you've got Francis A. Frank, who I don't think it is, and you have Jerome S. Tarter. Both these guys are Martha's Vineyard, where they filmed it, Martha's Vineyard residents, and they're both, they were extras in the movie. You just don't know which ones they were, but a lot of, I do a lot of finger pointing, but a lot of pointed fingers are pointing at the name Jerome S. Tarter, not the other fella. Now when you watch it, Teddy Grossman, who plays the estuary victim, he's a stuntman actor, he's in Jaws 2 as well, he's in Indiana Jones movies as well, so Spielberg obviously likes him. And this guy on the back, on the stern of the Flicker, let's call it that, you don't know it in the movie, but it's called the Flicker, Ben Gardner's boat. He has a look at Teddy Grossman, sort of sandy blondish hair, sort of caly, tousled, and a rather, big bloke. He also looks like the English actor, wrestler and martial artist from the 50s and 60s, Tiger Joe Robinson, who's in Carry On movies, A Kid for Five Farthings, and he also played, get on this, he played Peter Franks, who's the diamond smuggler in Diamonds Are Forever, and he has one of the classic Bond fights with Sean Connery in a lift, lots of breaking glass, a real bone-crunching fight. It's superbly well choreographed, and of course Sean Connery had had the epic fight with none other than Quint himself, Robert Shaw, as Red Grant in From Russia with Love. And Tiger Joe Robinson allegedly was approached to play Red Grant before Robert Shaw, but Robert Shaw got it. A history was made. And now, years later, there's a guy who's a dead ringer for him on the back of Ben Gardner's boat with Robert Shaw on a different boat. I don't know, there's some kind of weird symmetry going on there. But this guy, who is he? What happens to him? I would wager that, although it's not in the movie at all, he's chumming at the back, and then the shark comes up, and unlike Brody, who's a fucking big chicken shit anyway, who's immediately, a mosquito could have gone past him, he'd have jumped 10 feet in the air. The shark says, you're gonna need a bigger boat. But unlike Brody, this guy's like, just a shark. Whoa! Gets taken over. Chompy chomp. What happens to Ben Gardner then? Ben Gardner witnessed this. Does Ben Gardner fall overboard because the shark clearly attacks the boat? It rams into it. It punches a hole in the boat. Boat begins to sink. Takes a chunk out the side. I would say that a bit like in Jaws 2 with Eddie's death. This is all conjecture, of course. Of course it is. And Eddie's like, swim, Eddie, swim. There's a shark. Swim fast, Eddie. And then he gets slammed into the side of Tina's Joy. Hey, not a euphemism. The boat's called Tina's Joy. And you've got the luscious Anne Dusenberry there screaming her head off. And Eddie comes up and pulls, part of the planking off the side of the boat, leaving a bit of a shark-like toothy groove, which is what you've got on the side of Ben Gardner's boat. So I'm thinking, in my little crazy Jaws world, that this mystery man, whoever he may be, gets hauled over the side like that, and that the shark took that crunch out, or his own body took that bit of wood out, but he's been chomped, so he is an unofficial victim of the shark. Ben Gardner, weirdness, because the shark clearly didn't kill him. Does Ben Gardner have a heart attack because of what he's just witnessed, and then obviously some little sea crab or little nibbler of the sea comes in and has a peck at his eyes? The shark didn't do that. We know that. But the reference that Brody makes, you should have seen him. He's clearly implying that Ben Gardner was a mangled mess. And then it's forgotten about. It's just forgotten about. And nobody mentions this other guy. There would be a missing man if we didn't find the body of so-and-so. Maybe, is it Ben Gardner's son? We don't know, do we? We haven't got a clue who this guy is. And this mystery really wouldn't be that concerning, except when you watch the film 1,000 times. It begins to, who is that? Spielberg is a genius. with only a couple of films under his belt already, but with Jaws, it's a seminal masterpiece already, you know, and he's not stupid. Continuity was a nightmare plaguing the movie. We know that. The sun, the wind, the waves, boats on the horizon. You couldn't do any CG to take care of all that and colour grading at the time. So you're a slave to just what you could film, which could be 2 minutes a day, if that. Probably not even that most days, because don't forget, that bloody shark didn't work for 99% of the time. So continuity would have been a huge issue for him. So if I can't control the shark, I can control the scenes I'm doing. Okay, he adds the head coming through and surprising Hooper. He adds that sequence after all the film's been done. One more shot, just one more shot. But clearly he's been there with that guy on the boat, and I can prove it because I have to drink some of this. No. This is the Ben Gardner's scene. I'll talk about this music in a bit because this music is not what you normally hear. It's not. I have the magnificent book, Memories of Martha's Vineyard. Jaws, Memories of Martha's Vineyard. This huge big tome. The definitive, in literature book form, history of the making of Jaws. And it is, I've done a video on this, I'm sure I have. It's millions upon millions of behind the scenes pictures, interviews with everybody involved in it, except for this mystery man. Okay? Loads with Craig Kingsley, loads. And you see the mould they made of his head, which still exists. Not in a very good state though. I'm going to show you something. The ring light's on, and the photos are in black and white, but I'm going to show you this. Right, you see there, I'll come in a bit closer. Yeah, it's black and white, so it's getting harshed out by the ring light. The guy in the hat is Spielberg. That is Ben Gardner's boat. The crease in the page, right there, the crease in the page, that's Craig Kingsley playing Ben Gardner, right? On the other pages, there's other photos of that boat going out. But there you've got, oh God, let's try and get this right. Bloody ring light. If I turn the ring light off, you'll see nothing at all. Right, you got that there. There's a caption, and it says, Craig Kingsley is at the front of the boat, and at the back you've got Steven Spielberg, and it says in brackets, wearing the hat and the sunglasses. It doesn't even mention him at all. It doesn't mention him. What? Why? Why not? In every other picture with anybody in all the background extras, it'll mention a key grip, a camera technician, a painter decorator, or whatever. It'll mention them. But he's in lots of photos here, right? Obviously all in the boat from the same sequence. Doesn't mention him at all. It'll mention the guy who's actually, hidden below filming on the deck of the boat. It'll mention all that. But this guy doesn't get name dropped at all. No. I don't know about you, but I find that a bit strange. Because literally everybody else in that production is interviewed. It's still alive. In fact, even if they're not alive, they've written memoirs, or they've got someone who's their descendant has gone like, well, this is what he or she said about it, and blah, 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 blah. So you get all these quotes and anecdotes and reminiscences. It's a wonderful book, by the way, absolutely wonderful book. But again, this mystery man, he doesn't even get name dropped. And the film you definitely see him. You see him standing there. He looks odd, I'll be honest. It's like he shouldn't really be there. When you've got Craig Kingsley, Ben Gardner leaning over the little, whatever you call it. His boat's tiny compared to Quint's Orca. It's really flimsy. Very low in the water as well. Even before the bloody shark half sinks it, it's sitting low. Don't know how he thought he could wrestle that kind of shark. He must have known how big it was, being the expert fisherman that he is. But he's got this strangely lumpen, but rather large, heavily set, guy on the back of your boat. Who the hell is he? This music you're listening to now is disc number 3 of Intrada's brand new release of Jaws. 3 discs of Jawsy John Williams glory. God, that could have come out really badly wrong, couldn't it? And what you're hearing now, and I'll do a video on this separately. This is the 3rd disc, and these are all, wait for it, alternate tracks. It's the entire score with alternate and extended tracks that John Williams originally scored, and a few revelatory, newly found tracks which no one knew existed, and they're outstanding. And what this does as well, you can hear right now, it's all the beach band stuff, you know, the waltzes. It's Scott Joplin, it's who else is it? Gershwin, I think, has done one, and John Williams has done one as well. But I'm going to talk about these separately. It's nice to have these, to be honest with you, but I won't play them right now because no, I won't. So back to this guy again. Sometimes I look at him and I think, is it Teddy Grossman, the Estuary victim? Could be him. They've got the same sort of tousled hair. He looks like Joe Robinson, the same tousled hair, and what he's, even though you know you're not seeing like bare chested, but you can tell he's a big fella. But these 2 names that keep coming up, Francis A. Frank and Jerome S. Tarter, they come up. If you look for this guy, you're going to find those names coming up quite a lot. Like, but it's no one knows. And these 2 guys appear to be dead. I have been for a while, and I've done some detective work. I've tried to find pictures of him to see, is it him? Jaws' credits, which you don't get in the movie. The end credits in the movie are very swift, mercifully swift. These days, credits go on for like fucking half an hour, don't they? And me and my son will always sit there, even if it's playing some horribly naff, totally inappropriate rock or, you know, rap song or whatever, you know, or ballad. Nothing to do with the movie, it's just marketing. We'll sit there through the entire thing because I like to, well, both me and my son like to respect everyone involved in the film. If we've sat through that movie and you've worked on it, whether we're not going to read every single name, but we owe it to you that we're going to sit there through all the credits for there. But Jaws, the credits, you've got Brody and Hooper arriving, you know we get on that, oh God. Can we get in on those? I used to hate the water. I can't imagine why. That's what we've just been through. Yeah, fucking hell. Even Hooper would hate the water. He'd never go back in again after what happened to him in that cage. Cheers, John. Speaking of water, it has been absolutely pissing down here today, and apparently it's going to get far worse. We've got winds of 50 miles an hour in the morning. When I'm doing back on the new job, there's going to be poor kids flying through the air, like off to Kansas. I'll be like, oh, trying to catch hold of them. It's purely tempestuous. But yeah, an enduring myth, a narrative flaw. I'd like to know what you think, because it's just conjecture. We don't know what happened. I think it's a continuity error, like so much with the entire Ben Gardner sequences. The continuity is wrong. Narratively, it's out of whack. Mayor Vaughan wouldn't need to have the sighting of the bloody shark tooth when you've got the evidence of a shark-wrecked boat and a mangled body. They don't say the shark got him, incidentally, because I don't think the shark did. The shark didn't take his eyeball and maybe died of a heart attack. Or maybe he was pulled overboard, and I mean, this is all pie in the sky, isn't it? Maybe he's pulled overboard like the mystery man was, but he manages to get back on board, but the shark takes his lower half and his top half falls in. The shark's full up now. Might be back later, you never know. Stick around. Off it goes, you know. And his body just floats into the submerged hull of his own boat. What does it matter? Well, I can hear you. Kilty, does any of this really matter? No, it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. But it's interesting. It's an element of a film which we know and love. And as much as we can quote the entire movie, we know all the musical needle drops, we know everything about it, we know all the character bits and bobs, and it's and the wonderfulness that it all is. But there's still little niggles, and I am not being critical about this. Sometimes in a film, or anything which you view as being a masterpiece, there is a niggle there, and they reach the level of, it's the very fact that they're not quite, it's the imperfections that make them masterpieces. It's the little tiny things which you keep coming back to, but the rest of it's so much better and so terrific that you can override all that, but it still comes back to haunt you. And the clever thing about this is that you can make up your own little version. It won't sully the movie at all. You know, it won't destroy it. Jaws has got by for 50 years with a lot of love, respect, adoration, critical plaudits across, you know, every nebula, you know, in the universe. Everyone loves Jaws. So it's got by reasonably well, despite these little narrative, what happened there? I'm sure if Spielberg could go back and do it again, no, he couldn't. He wouldn't, would he? Would he? He couldn't. Should he? No. Lucas would. George Lucas would. You know that. That shark, it'd be massively replaced. You'd have Jar Jar Binks there. You know, Ben Gardner and Jar Jar Binks on the back of his boat. Misa see a shark! Fucking hell. God, no, please. No more Jar Jar. Just bottle. So, anyway, let me know what you think. What are your theories? None of it matters. None of it matters at all. But the thing is, if he was killed, that's not addressed. Did no one know that he'd gone out with him? That could be it. There's another. Why doesn't Brody mention, oh, well, Ben Gardner had a mate on board usually? Well, what's happened to him? A missing persons report, has that been filed? Has Polly not put it in the pending tray? You know, she's put it in the all the usual crap. So what's happened to this guy? No one's called in as being a missing person. Well, he went out with Ben Gardner. And then kind of gone like, oh, I don't want another slap in the face. Brody'd be like, oh God, no. We've lost Ben. Well, where's MM, Mystery Man? Well, we don't know. We think that. Oh! And who could be going like, I could have warned you that was going to happen, you know? Oh dear. See, where I live, Kilt Mansion, the River Mersey, just behind you guys, the River Mersey stretches right that way there from where I'm sitting. That way is the Mersey estuary and then the Irish Sea, you know. And then after Ireland, then it's Cable Junction, and doing it in reverse, you see. Now, even when I was a kid, so you're talking back in the 70s, maybe even into the 80s, maybe, although I think it died off certainly in the mid 80s. You had tons of fishing boats here. Fishermen would be out there, and if you happen, like Big Kilt Papa, one of his many jobs, was working for the Parks and Gardens, as it was known. And during the summertime, when I was off school, some holidays, because Big Kilt Mama was working, and there was no brothers and sisters, are all gone all over the bloody world and that, like. So I had to go somewhere. If I wasn't going to a mate's house, I'd have to go with my dad to his workplace, and that could be like a pitch and putt, a crazy golf, a park, Vale Park down New Brighton, and we'd be there like sort of like 5 in the morning, well 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's my fucking summer holidays, you know. But you know, I didn't care. Once I was up, I was playing Star Wars and running around. But you'd see boats going out, and you'd hear, you know, all the flags against the masts on the jetties. So I'm not saying that New Brighton was like Amity, a big fishing port. It was a couple hundred years ago. The dying days of it were my growing up years. So I would see these boats, these not big trawlers. They are the size of like maybe the Orca, and certainly a lot more like the Flicker, Ben Gardner's boat. Just little, you know, I don't know how the designation of these fishing vessels, but little boats, but with people on board, and you'd see them, And like, you know, there'll all be rods and all sorts of stuff, and nets, and those cages for getting lobsters and crayfish and crabs and that sort of thing. And so I'd see all that, and the smell of fish being brought back in, you know, because sometimes, sort of like, I don't know, it'd be like 10:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock, they'd be coming back after their first run, and they'd be coming back with tons and tons of fish, a big catch, a big haul, and all this stuff would be going to local fishmongers. So there was a trade here for this. So when I watched Jaws, part of my affection for it is that I grew up, when Jaws came out in 75, I grew up, and as a kid, even I recognised boats, fishermen, barnacle bills, these salty old sea dogs and all that, like. And now you don't get any of that now. Okay, you've got old Bob, Bobber Job Bob, as I call him, who drinks in the cask. He's an old fisherman, but he's also been on all the freighters all around the world. And don't we know it? Because he tells you it every bloody time. I've been east of Java a million times with him. I'm like, oh God, don't tell me again. And then this typhoon hit, and yeah, I know. God almighty, I know. Little tip for you. You know, we're in a pub or in a bar, America, they call it bars, don't you? And you've got some old soak who's giving it loads. Be respectful. Listen to them. You know, they've done things which you can only dream of. There's a bit of Roy Batty there from Blade Runner. But they've been places and done things which you've only seen in movies, and they just did it, you know. So give them the time of day. Just don't give them the time of day every bloody day, because you'll be soon very sick of them stories. But they've earned the right to regale you with their tales of daring do. Cheers up. And I'll be just as bad. In fact, I am just as bad. I'm not talking about sharking, no. I'm talking about other things. So who's the mystery man? What happened to him? What did he do? Why is he there? Who played him? Jerome S. Tarter or Francis A. Frank? If you go through the full cast list on IMDb, and there's many people, and they've got like skipper, man on boat. Well, actually, man on boat. You think, oh, that's got to be him. You think if he'd say Ben Gardner's mate, wouldn't you? You've got Herschel West plays Salvatore. That's Quint's little mate. But he, you know, you see him, you know who he is, and he doesn't go on the Orca. We know that. He stays ashore. In the big deleted scene, well, one of the deleted scenes, it's quite a large one as well, if I remember rightly. Salvatore says to to Quint, I'm not going on this. I don't want to do it. If you don't mind, Mr. Quint, I'm not doing this one. Like, all right, because he knows damn well that Quint is seeing destiny here. This is a big shark, you know. And Salvatore's like, fuck that. I'll stay here if you don't mind. I'll sponge down your rubbers. But this other guy, who is he? What happened to him? I want you to come up with your own ideas. I've come up with a couple there. He gets dropped off, and then you just forget about him. But then he'd be like, well, what happened to, you know, you've got the Amity sort of the big poster. You know, look at that, Brody. You know, that's, you know, disfigurement of a public service message. You know, I want these paint-happy bastards caught and hung up by the Busker Browns. You know, Mr. Vaughan, take a good look at that picture. Those dimensions are correct. Love to prove that, wouldn't you? Get your names in National Geographic. Uber. Fucking hell. That's it. I give up. You know, you're on your own. Fuck it. Look, Mr. Vaughan. What we're talking about is a perfect machine. An eating machine. All this machine does is swim and eat and make little sharks. Oh God, the film is just genius. Right, I will do a video on this alternate version And by the way, I urge you to get it, the Intrada 3-disc version. It's going to cost you, if you're in the UK, it's going to cost you a fair bit. The shipping will be ridiculous. It'd be cheaper to hire a charter trawler and sail all the way over to Oakdale, California, and pick it up personally, and then come back again, than actual shipping from the US to the UK. But it's worth it. The remixes, not remixes, the remastering is absolutely sumptuous. It's not the way you're hearing it, I know, but when I play it, oh my God, on the full sound system, Jesus Christ, it's so much clearer again. And there's no gimmicks at all. Nothing's been added. It's the original, masters, but just been remastered again with today's technology. And some of these extra tracks, some of these extensions or alternates, it's only subtle. It's very subtle, but if you know the score, and we all know the score really, really well, it's like, it's just a slight different tinge on what you already know and love, and it's just interesting to hear. Will this alternate score ever replace the one we know and love, the full, complete one we know and love? No, of course it won't. But it's an interesting little extra nuance. Oh, should I do it? I'll do this. While we're here, I'll do this. There are some extended tracks, quite nicely done, and I want to play. Is it this one? I think it's this one. So what we've got here now is the main theme, but it's slightly different. And there you go. The Orcus theme comes in. And the brass is clearer and more defined. And you're getting the Orcus sort of semi-jaunty maritime theme. You can see where the actual main title theme, which we do have, which is much shorter, works better. This is like a sort of like a montage of what you're going to get. And of course that bit there is from where the shark glides under the orca. It's a 20-footer, 25, 3 tons of him. That's that bit. And that's, John Williams had done that in the main title, main theme. That bit there was reused in the title theme for Jaws 4. I'll talk more about this. You've got the horns playing, a forlorn horn in the background. Don't get me wrong, this piece of music does not fit in the movie, which is why they never used it, obviously. It's almost like a greatest hits compendium of the Jaws theme from the film, with added orca, motifs. Do you want to hear something else as well? Should we do it? Okay, right, we'll do this one. You can hear the rain coming down. And it's not half coming down. If anyone knows for real the guy that played Mystery Man, this has plagued a lot of Jaws fans for 50 years? Because every other little character, every other side character gets their moments of glory. They're known. We know them all. Mrs. Taft there, you know. I think that's funny. I don't think that's funny at all. See, that's seeged straight in. So John Williams created these themes and put them together, but obviously they weren't used in the movie score itself. They're arrangements, but so this and the main theme variation you heard there beforehand, they've only recently surfaced. Bobbed up and down like a kind of top. Obviously, you know, if you go on YouTube and that much, which you obviously do, that's how you're watching me. There's plenty of people that have done their own mixes and, you know, sort of versions of the Jaws themes, as well as every other bloody movie theme going, and added bits in there and amped up certain elements and subtracted other elements, done their own. But this is John Williams. This is the maestro himself who's done this. Of course, that's, you know, after, you know, the estuary attack, and Brody's looking out. But it's been seeged into this little sort of collective piece. Wonderful stuff, it really is. It's revelatory. I can imagine certainly in like maybe another 5 years' time, in Trado once again, I'll go like, do you know we found even more? God. Cheers, y'all. See, you're hearing bits now, which I'll discuss in more depth. Something the piano might be more pronounced, more emphatic. A triangle might come in, you know, chimes might come in even more. It's subtle, but very noticeable differences. The overall theme or piece of music is the same. The set piece is still the same, but he's emphasising other instrumentation. Anyway, folks, Mystery Man. Let's find this guy. What happened to him? Have his bits washed up on Amity as well. Is there like his big barrel chest, like Chrissy Watkins? His hand was there, like, you know, with all the crabs all over it. Maybe his barrel chest was there. Oh, that guy, by the way, I mentioned Tiger Joe Robinson. Remember the Rank films? Not Wank films. That's something entirely different. The Rank movies. And a big muscle man who, in like a Tarzan sort of loincloth, goes bong on a great big gong. Bong on a gong. Bong. Rank, you know. He turned down that role as well. He turned down the role of Red Grant, apparently walked away from that. I'm not doing that one. But he also turned down the Gong Man. But he was a big fella. Not like Arnie Schwarzenegger, like huge and defined. Just proper. If he did that sort of thing, you know, and the chest makes that huge crab-like thing. I did weights for many years. I'm not going to call it bodybuilding. I didn't want to be posing in tiny little spray-on bloody, you know, Speedos. No. Oh, the cheese grater up your arse crack. No. I just wanted to be fucking bulky. And I did get bulky. I got the 16 and a half stone for a little short arse like me. That was fucking huge. And I had people up 15, 16 at the time, like, growth hormone kicked in, so I didn't need the creatine. You know, I didn't need anything like that. I didn't go on the juice. I have no steg heads here. Mine was all just eating chicken and broccoli. Chicken. Boiled rice. I'm lucky. I like chicken and boiled rice. I'm alright with that. So I was out for breakfast and fucking dinner and fucking tea time and throughout. I'd even get up in the night time to have an extra meal. But I was doing so much weights. And, you know, and your body fluctuates as you get older. Your testosterone, apparently for some people at my age, testosterone levels drop. I pity those fools. Mine's never dropped at all. Mine's only risen. But yeah, it is harder to maintain. But not only that, you don't have the time to do it. You just don't. So, isn't it funny how the Mystery Man's little saga, he's in the movie for like literally, if I put a timing on it, I'd say about not even a minute. Or maybe a minute, pushing it a minute. Hooper's arrival at Amity, and then Ben Gardner's little speech about the rock pile and them silly bastards. If you've been listening to this, you can hear how it is different. Anyway, folks, I have been Shall Be Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, as ever, let's just keep on exploring other regions of Jaws in between time. Please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all. You. Not being funny. I've told you before. Don't want to see you ever again. Do one. If I see your face again, I'm going to rip it off and use it for toilet paper. Anyway, folks, please be happy, be healthy, look after one another, except for him, obviously. I've scared him off now, but if you ever see him, don't give him the time of day. He ain't worth it. He's just a toikie. Be happy. Ta-ra.